And this is the most important point. It's an empirical understanding based on the natural carrying capacity of the Earth.
Yeah, it's just humans want to differentiate. Humans want to be individual, and that's not an evil. And that's not an evil thing. Well, I mean, can you imagine saying that you're going to build this world when humans do the same thing over and over again instead of acknowledging that we do have faults and do have problems, and trying to teach people to stand up for themselves and go after corrupt systems. I'm just trying to have us survive and do that first. And then I always hear the establishment talking about, pie in the sky. I mean, so much of what you said we heard from the New World Order engineers, and they've built a top-down scientific society. They've used the scientific method. You and your guest in the film, your presenters, I mean, they keep saying over and over again, the elite know nothing. They understand nothing. They don't see it. No, there's a bunch of clips where are you saying in the film it's not said that these politicians can't have solutions because they don't understand the system? And,
we're speaking about politicians themselves.
The elite, look, they call it a scientific dictatorship. They say we're cold-bloodedly, scientifically setting up a hyper-dominant system over the population of the planet.
Yeah,
I mean, they are saying that they are, I'm saying that your information is going to go out and it's going to be latched onto. This happens to me as well, I'm just saying, and then spun off into a horrid hybrid.
No, well, this is one of those things that you have to defend against to a certain extent when you're dealing with misinformation and ideologies that are misinterpreted. This is, to talk about this is really futile. It's good to recognize it, but this system has a universal implication. It's a natural progression.
All right, final segment. Here we go. Final segment. You're saying it's a natural progression for this system to fall apart, to destroy, and then to be rebuilt. And then you're saying the system you're talking about, are you saying that's a natural progression to move into this resource-based system?
Yes, absolutely, because we've finally realized with our technological understanding that resources can be utilized in a way that does not require scarcity. We can have a world of abundance. And I mean an abundance. I mean, I don't have time to break it down right now, obviously, but you have to realize the multiplicity of the things.
No, I understand it. The New World Order knows we can have that, and they're doing, and they're setting up a world. They say it. They're setting up a world tyranny to block us from developing that.
I'm not talking about fighting the New World Order. I'm talking about true.
Are you saying that they don't know? Because over and over again in the film, it's said that they don't understand, they don't know. No, they do know that this is possible, and their New World Order will take on many of the things you're saying, but only to get their dominance in to block things that empower the individual and the community.
Well, fine, but nevertheless, their tool is money. If you want to see the New World Order stopped, you got to get rid of money. They're not going to have anything else at that point. There's such a small elite, they can't even compare to the power of a group identification with the new social system. They have nothing. The next thing that we have to go after are the military and the police and get them converted, because without them, the New World Order can't do anything.
Have you seen the H.G. Wells film? Have you seen the H.G. Wells film, Things to Come?
Not in many years.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of what you're saying. Let's go ahead and play a clip from that. Well, big sigh there. Let's play that H.G. Wells clip, Things to Come, John. Do you have it?
Who are all that are left of the old engineers and mechanics have pledged ourselves to salvage the world. We have the airways, all that's left of them. We have the seas. And we have ideas in common. The brotherhood of efficiency. The Freemasonry of science. This is how I conceive our plan of operations. First, the roundup of brigands. That last dismal vestige of ancient predatory soldiery. The last would-be conquerors. Then settle, organize, advance. This zone, then that. And at last, wings over the world. And the new world begins.
And then the film goes on. They go and round up all the evil capitalists. But you're saying that's not what you're saying.
Well, obviously not, Alex. That has no relevance to anything that I've said. And if you look at the research that we've done, that the Venus Project is about, there's no relevance to that whatsoever. There's absolutely no opposition to anything. There is a train of thought that is given in education to people, and they can take it or leave it. And I'm of the mind, I think, once people recognize this direction, the New World Order, the elitists, the globalists, will not only not have a chance, they will falter and join. And they won't do so because of their own need to try to corrupt the system. People are people. People are products of conditioning, and they want to see themselves live in a capacity which is beneficial to them at their very core. If they've been conditioned into pure corruption, then that's their conditioning. They will
these, these people programmed by society. I mean, there are good businesses. There are good people.
Sure, but
there are people you can trust.
Differential advantage. It's all based on manipulation advantage, and it's based on humans taking advantage and chiseling off of one another.
That's what humans do. Bad people do that. Good people have to fight them.
That's what this system creates.
That's what we are. Listen, humans made this system. This is what we do.
Now, this is a product of evolution. It's a product of the free market system had its corruptions at the very beginning, and it worked for a certain degree. Now it's time to move forward.
Well, let me ask you this.
Intermediate elements. We need to work on resource management, work with the resources, not the middle elements of money and labor.
Well, I agree with you on that, but before we run out of time, here's an example. We only see a limited part of the light spectrum. The science has shown all these other dimensions. Who knows what lives on other planets? I mean, the point is we have very limited views. What we know today would be total magic 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago. I mean, how can you just say... I mean, certainly religions build a box around it and create priests and get power from it. But I mean, other experiences, the mind within, the soul. You don't believe we have a soul.
Soul based on a traditional definition.
But I mean, how do you know there isn't more? How do you know?
You can't. If you find a whole group of people dancing around in a tree, they call it a boo-boo tree, and they sit there and say that this tree has all the power that controls everything. I can't disprove that. I can't disprove it. However, I hold it as extremely improbable.
I'm saying it's a human idea that is central to who we are, and that religion, alchemy, is what developed the sciences, and it's humans knowing there's more, humans pushing the envelope, reaching out into other dimensions.
It's actually,
and then it manifests through ridiculous boo-boo trees, But I mean, just to disdainfully, I mean, there's all sorts of good things that come out of religion. Slavery, you could argue, transatlantic, was started by people misinterpreting the Bible, but then it was people interpreting the Bible who then got slavery banned.
Yes, so what? I'm talking about religion as an institution. This is an arbitrary institution. It's pushed upon you. I guarantee you, bet you $1 million your parents were Christian. This is an environmental distinction. If you were born, again, you say religion's Christ and everything is very important to you, well, guess what? If you're born in the Middle East, you'd have a totally different value system, probably have no relationship to Christ whatsoever. The
Middle East is about 25% Christian, actually. But.
Well, you know what I'm saying. If you were born in an Arabic family, dominant religion of the area, this is the reality. We are.
But let me say this: that's actually in a way, it's a healthy firewall because there's new ideas, which are normally old as well, nothing under the sun, repackaged, which are damaging to the family. I think the Arabs saying we hate your television and your corruptness and your destruction, and obviously they suppress women in their own way and men as well. But we don't want to turn our girls into little whores. We don't want to use your drugs. We see your TV and we call that the great Satan. I mean, in a way, that has allowed them to keep themselves from being dominated by the West. These cultural things we have also have a defensive measure. I'm not saying it's overall positive. I'm saying it has that element. It's there in development.
I totally agree. I happen to personally believe in many of the things that the Christ character has stated. But you know what? I mean, what kind of competition did Christ have? Do you think Christ had guns if he had the option? I mean,
sell your cloak by a sword.
Yeah, exactly. But still, if you really look at his teaching, this is a hybrid character. So there's numerous nuances that are going on here that are in dichotomy. But what I'm talking about...
Are you saying he didn't even exist, even though the Roman historians and the Jewish historians... You're saying
there are many more Roman historians that have no record of him than there are that say he actually exists. There's maybe 4, and they have one line.
No, there weren't even...
I'm not going to go into this debate. I've already gone through this 1,000 times. It's on the website.
Well, you did change some stuff in your first edition of your first one. I mean, you did get a few of those gods and things wrong. I mean, you're not infallible either.
Of course not. I never said I was. I do my research as best as I can, and I present what I learn, and this is how we grow as a society. And religion itself rejects this type of education.
Well, here's the deal. Christians see this New World Order system attacking their religion. And let me tell you, whether you believe it or not, the New World Order, by and large, are Satanist. I mean, they worship death and destruction and me, which is the Madison Avenue God. I mean, certainly you're not ignorant. You know that there is an occult empire.
I'm well aware of it, but I don't recognize it with any type of interest because it's no different than anything else. Of course, you're going to have these divisionary aspects. I know about the Bohemian Grove. I'm very familiar with all of this. I know about the occult orders. They've existed for a long time. They're just a bunch of little clubs jockeying for their own ideological and personal power. age-old type of thing, but they are all a product of their conditioning. I'm going to keep reiterating this, and I want everybody out there to go to the venusproject.com, to go to the zeitgeistmovement.com, and to think about these ideas and to realize that out of all the things we've talked about, Alex and I, the most important is to realize why people behave the way they do. And I argue that it is not genetics, it is behaviorism based on conditioning. And that is the most important element.
Well, I think that's definitely half of it.